Señoritas y señores, bienvenidos a otro video para Español 3. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in my Spanish 3 honors class, thank you very much for watching these homework videos, and we are learning more Español, and this time we are focusing on Chapter 4, well, the first half of Chapter 4, Chapter 4A, Gramática. Now, I know, señoritas y señores, that you guys had a tough time with the subjunctive mood last chapter, but it's back. I hate to ruin the party, but it's back. This time you're using the subjunctive mood with feelings, with emoción, because of course the theme of the chapter is discussing how you feel and intrapersonal relationships. And then the other grammar skill that you'll be learning in this video is all about por and para, because there is a difference when to use por and when to use para. Well, clase, in this video, which is all gonna be carne y papas, meat and potatoes, it's gonna be just everything that you need to know all about the grammar. As you can see, this video doesn't really have a whole lot of my malarkey, hullabaloo, shenanigans, tomfoolery. Not this time. Maybe next time, though. Maybe next time. So let's get to work, shall we? Let's hit it. Señoritas y señores, bienvenidos otra vez a mi casa. Sí, ladies and gentlemen, you are back in my humble abode. Bienvenidos. Ustedes van a aprender más gramática del español nivel número 3. Estamos en el capítulo 4. And if you're in my Spanish class, you're on Chapter 4A, the first half of Chapter 4. So let's take a look at what you're going to be dealing with today, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, this is a screenshot of your libro, your Spanish 3 book. And sí, señoritas y señores, just in case you thought you were done with the subjunctive conjugations, sorry, hold your horses, cowboys and cowgirls, because it is back. And this time, you're going to be using the subjunctive mood with when people feel a certain way. This information can be found in your libro, página 168. There it is right there. All right. And the book does a pretty good job of indicating or giving examples as to when you will use subjunctive conjugations when people feel a certain way, all right? But as always, I have my little PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared ahead of time, and it really is something that's pretty simple if you know what you're doing up to this point in Spanish class, all right? So before I move on, I want to let you know that it is very important that you know all about subjunctive conjugations, at least the weirdo part that we covered. Remember, wants, emotions, and actually this definitely has to do with emotions, all right? Impersonal requests, denial, ojalá, all of that. I think I got that all right, and if I didn't, then, well, you can look it up. So yeah, so we talked about that extensively. We spent a lot of time on subjunctive conjugations because they're not the easiest conjugations in the world, especially those crazy stem-changing subjunctive conjugations. So we covered that, and you're going to have to know all of that so that you can use this right over here, because every step that we take in La Clase de Español is a step higher than the previous step. We build, like building blocks, we build on the previous skill to advance a bit higher. All right, so let's take a look at this one. All right, the subjunctive mood. All right, everyone knows all about the subjunctive mood. We've covered it before. And you use it to indicate suggestions, desires, demands, weirdo, etc., 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 okay? Now, specifically, sometimes you're going to have to use the subjunctive so that you can indicate how you feel. Take a look. We've covered this before, but we'll cover it again. Ojalá, okay? Ancient Arabic, O Allah, you pray to God. And it became part of Spanish way a couple hundred years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Well, a long time ago. Ojalá que, hopefully that, all right? And then everything else after the word que is going to be conjugated in the subjunctive mood, all right? Ojalá que tú seas amable. You see how I did that? Okay, I hope that you are nice or amicable or friendly. Ojalá que tú seas amable. I hope you are nice and friendly. And that is an example of a subjunctive conjugation with emotion, because it is my hope that you are that way. All right. Let's take a look at the next one, and then we'll just go down the list. Temo que. I fear that. Temo que mi amiga tenga celos, okay? I'm afraid, I fear that she's got jealous feelings or something like that, okay? I'm just kind of picking them out of thin air. But as you could see, I fear something, and maybe or maybe not, it's unfounded, but everything after the word que is going to be conjugated in the subjunctive mood. Tengo miedo de que, I'm afraid that, okay? Tengo miedo de que mi amigo no sea, let's see, comprensivo, all right? Me alegro de que, it makes me happy that, okay? Me molesta, something bothers me. Me molesta que, it bothers me that. Me sorprende, whoa, me sorprende que, it surprises me that this might happen. Siento que, okay, siento que, I feel, siento, okay, sentir, me siento, or just siento, I feel. And then everything else, like I said, after the word que is in the subjunctive. Es triste que, it's sad that this might happen, all right? And then es bueno que, it's good that, okay, if you're feeling good about something, then it's a good thing that, all right? So all of these are strong indicators that the subjunctive mood is coming up in a Spanish sentence, and that's all there is to this part of the grammar section of chapter 4a. All right, so let's move on to the next part. And as you can see, two important prepositions that we use all the time in Spanish, por and para. All right, but when do you use por and when do you use para? There can be very specific instances when you have to use one or the other. This information, once again, can be found on página 171, page 171, for all the details in your Spanish book. And again, it does a pretty good job in that yellow box to itemize when to use por, when to use para. So let's take one last look at the PowerPoint. And this one is all killer, no filler, no fancy graphics on this PowerPoint, but hey, I try to make sure I give you the meat and potatoes, all right? So, por, this is when you use por in a Spanish sentence, all right? When you're trying to measure length of time or distance. You're also going to use por when you indicate a place where an action happens or may have happened. You're going to use por when you're exchanging something, okay? Yo te doy $5 por las flores or something like that, right? Por also indicates a reason or a motive why somebody does something. Por indicates a substitution or action on somebody's behalf. So if I'm doing something representing somebody else. Por indicates a means of communication, like maybe telephone or email, or transportation if I'm trying to get to maybe downtown and I need to take a camión. Yo voy a la ciudad or yo voy al centro por el camión, okay? So that indicates how I got there, and that's when you use por, all right? Sometimes you're also going to use por in certain expressions, all right? So, por ejemplo, for example, that's one example. Por la mañana, in the morning. Por la tarde, in the afternoon. Por la noche, at night, okay? Por favor, everyone knows that. Por favor, especially when you want to use el baño, por favor, and when I never let you go, por favor. Who am I kidding? I always let you go. I should probably change that. Por eso, it's because of that. It's that same reason is when you use por, okay? That's what that means. Por lo general. So, generally speaking, you can say generalmente, but if that's too difficult for you to say, then you can say por lo general, and it means the same thing. Por primera vez, por segunda vez, por tercera vez, okay? So for the first time, second time, third time, again, use the word por. And then por supuesto, of course, my horse, okay? Por supuesto, yes, of course. That's also when you use the word por, all right? So, let's take a look at the other preposition, para. Para. A lot of times it means for, but sometimes there's some nuances. Para indicates a purpose. In order for you to accomplish something, you're going to have to use the word para. All right? Para means destination, or it is used with destination. Okay, yo voy para la playa. I am going to the beach. All right. Para is also going to be used in a point in time or deadline. All right. So definitely when you're trying to stamp a certain time, like when your paper is due para el 12 de abril. Okay, so when someone's trying to give you a deadline, or when someone is trying to indicate this is when this is going to happen, or it's got to happen by this time. Para is also used when you're trying to indicate a use or a purpose. So for example, ¿por qué haces eso? Why do you do that? Oh, es para abrir más or abrir la ventana or something like that. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm just pulling some random examples. You also use para to indicate a use or purpose. If someone asks you, ¿por qué tomas agua? Oh, es para la sed. Okay, and that's another use for para. And then para is also used when you want to express an opinion. Para mí es mejor que trabajemos duro en la clase de español. It's important for me, or for me, in my opinion, it's better that we that we work hard in Spanish class. And so that is another use of para. Okay, clase, take a look at this screen, and as you can see, you're going to have to quiz yourself. Are you going to use por, or are you going to use para for each blank according to what I just talked to you about? When to use por, when to use para. So here's what I like for you to do. I'd like for you to pause this video just for maybe a couple of segundos, and that way you can kind of work these out yourself. I can wait. Voy a esperar un poco, ¿sí? Creo que lo que voy a hacer, yo voy a contar a 10, ¿ok? Vamos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yes. Time's up. Were you able to work these out? Well, let's take a look. Number 1, ayer caminamos blank el parque. So you're gonna have to use you're gonna have to use where something took place. All right, maybe that'll help you out, where something took place. Number 2, blank me, no hay nada mejor que viajar. For number 2, I'm expressing my opinion. All right. Number 3, mañana nos vamos blank la playa. Destination. For number 3, destination. Número 4, caminaron blank una hora. That's a length of time right there. All right, that's a length of time. And then finally, número 5, Ana habló blank teléfono. It's a means of communication. All right, so those are all the criteria that you have to take into consideration. And let me show you the next screen. If you were able to get all of these right, then muy bien. So that is what you're looking at. You're going to have to take all of those into consideration before you use either por or para in a Spanish sentence. And of course, as always, we're going to practice in la clase de español. All right? And that is it, señoritas y señores. Now it is time for me to go. Muchas gracias for visiting me in my casa, but it is time for me to kick you out of my house. I might sick the dogs on you. I might call the popo. I might get the helicopter to circle, my block and make sure that you are out of my casa. So, váyanse, fuera. Okay, I shouldn't be so mean. I don't know why I'm being so cranky all of a sudden. I'm not sure why I'm being get off my lawn or whatever. But it is for sure around dinner time. As you can see, it's much darker now than when this video even started. So I'm getting hungry and I'm getting cranky. So I am out of here, and you will be hopefully practicing this Español. And of course, as always, por favor, leave your comment and get the homework points, but come back to these videos, including this one, so that you can keep your Spanish chops sharp and ready to practice en la clase de Español. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm grabbing a sandwich. You are getting out of here before I call la policía. That's it for me. So, señoritas y señores, before I wreck my own house, I am out of here. I will see you en la clase de Español. Take it easy. Adiós.